Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm excited to chat with actor on the rise, Jacob Buster. Jacob stars as one of the leads in Showtime's highly anticipated horror series, Let the Right One In. Inspired by the best-selling novel and its 2008 film adaptation, the series explores human frailty, strength, and compassion through an elevated genre lens. Jacob plays Peter, brother to Grace Gummer's character Claire, a relationship that is brand new to the franchise storyline. At a young age, Jacob is no stranger to the small screen. He's best known to audiences as fan favorite Charlie Bowman on sci-fi drama series Colony, but his other television credits include a recurring role as young Mike Ross on Suits, as well as a guest role on The Thundermans. We have a great time talking about his acting career so far, what he's learned from the actors he's worked with, and what he's found interesting about his role on Let the Right One In. It's a fun interview, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, Jacob, thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on.
So I think Let the Right One In, I mean, obviously that's a story that everybody digs because we're on our third iteration of it, and there's still a new take and new tone and new stuff to do. And, all the reviews of it mention that, whether you're loving it or hating it, it's a new iteration of a vampire story that honestly, how are we still doing vampire stories? And so when I saw the original movie, I thought it was remarkable. When I saw the remake movie, I thought it was remarkable. Seeing the show have something new to put, like a new spin to put on it, new stories to explore is just kind of remarkable. Can you talk a little bit about the audition, getting the role, but also your relationship to the franchise? Were these movies or books that you'd seen or read before? Was this anything that do you like horror like this? Is this something you're coming into?
Yeah, so typically with horror, it's not my genre. I find that when it's like super, super out of like our realistic world, it doesn't really faze me. So to see Let the Right One In kind of take vampires into a more human area, I really loved. And I think this is the side of horror that kind of does connect with me. Mm-hmm. And when I did audition for Let the Right One In, I actually hadn't heard of the franchise before. So I was up in a cabin with my friends, and we looked through some of the DVDs, and they had Let the Right One In, the original film. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to watch it. So I watched the whole thing through. I really loved it. And then being able to see the way that they kind of changed it, but used that main base storyline, it was just really lovely to be able to be a part of.
And I think you really hit something there. There's horror that I liked when I was at slumber parties and we were trying to rent whatever we could get away with, and they were just terrible slasher movies and whatnot. And then there's the horror that I enjoy more now. There's a huge arguments in the horror community about what's elevated horror or whatever. But growing up, things get a little more existential. Like the threats get a little less, spooky Freddy Krueger or whatever, and more real. Mm-hmm. I mean, the world's threatening enough. And I really think that's the thing that keeps Let the Right One In coming back around for me, is that exploration of the sadness of, sticking with a friend or a loved one, even though, maybe they're a monster. And the just putting you in the mindset of having to think about that problem, and what you would do. When you're looking at roles, and have there been things that you found so far that you just enjoy sinking your wow, that's a terrible pun, sinking your teeth into? When you're, I've had people tell me that, I love being a villain. You just get to do so much more stuff. Or I love being. Have you found roles so far uh, that you're like, oh, that's cool. I got to go down that path.
Not in particular. I right now with where I am, I just want to try almost everything. Like because I've been able to do a lot of characters that I feel like are similar to the way I am just in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to be able to try and portray characters that are very different from who I am. And like, I don't know, maybe take a step outside of myself and maybe understand a different side of life in a sense. So I wouldn't say that I have a specific type. I just want to kind of like try everything and get a full kind of idea of what is out there.
I think that's probably a good way to be with it. Think about all the people that accidentally discover deep into a successful career that, oh my God, you're hilarious. Or oh my God, I've only seen you, we've only seen Jim Carrey in comedies. That you're telling me the guy from The Mask is a serious dramatic actor? Like those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of shifts, sometimes it's not just the industry that pigeonholes you, but, you that can pigeonhole you.
Yeah.
When you've gotten to work alongside some actors that I just love. Virginia Madsen is great. I grew up with C. Thomas Howell. Of course, Henry Ian Cusick, I think we all fell in love with on Lost. When you're working with older actors, have there been any moments where you kind of came away with a new take on something, a new trick in your bag?
100%. Some of those actors that you've named, if not all of them, I mean, they're just lovely, wonderful people, and I was so grateful to be able to work with them. And when I was there, it's kind of crazy because being able to work with somebody that's really like spent a lot of time acting and really like honing their craft, being able to watch them work is just like wonderful to be able to see like what the future could maybe hold if I were to able to get to there. But yeah, I definitely have learned a lot from them. There's definitely some people that whenever they come to a sad scene, simple things, but they put in their headphones and they listen to their music and it kind of helps them center themselves. And just learning these little neat tricks here and there, just trying them for myself and seeing if they can work.
Yeah, and well, like you were talking about, it's one thing when when your character's pretty close to you or lucks into how you happen to be feeling that day, being about the tone of mood. But there's times if you're really pushing yourself, Anthony Hopkins didn't necessarily show up on set feeling Hannibal. Hopefully not, but he got himself there, and
Yeah.
and that's a real, especially in the chaos of a set. Some days, that's a real trick to find that focus. Um,
Mm-hmm.
has there been anything that you feel like you've stopped to do or behavior you've gone, wow, if I saw a younger me right now, I'd be like, hey man, quit doing that, or let go of that idea?
Yeah, 100%. I would say two main things that I would say to a younger me is that auditions are 95% of the work of being an actor, if not all. That audition is your work, putting the time in and making sure that you're ready. But also, an audition is a chance to play and create a character and like just express your creativity. Like it's very fun, instead of viewing it as work that you need to do and, oh my gosh, I need to do this, I need to do this. Instead, just being like, I get to do this, I get to do this.
Yeah.
And another thing that I would say is if there is a scene that in the writing says, oh, you need tears here on this line, it actually, if you force it to be on that line, it'll feel less natural than if you just let it hit you when it hits you. So that's another thing that I would say.
Don't freak out about dropping the tear right on the word. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. If it doesn't hit you, it doesn't hit you. If you're truly within that character, then whatever comes out should be what it is.
That's going to be when when a human would really feel it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that about auditions from so many people that the surprising thing about the industry is realizing that booking gigs is not your job, that going to auditions and then shaking it off and going to the next audition is your job. And
100%.
that's can be difficult to get used to, but then also it's been very rare, but I've got to be on the casting side of things before, and it's the not taking big swings that end up being the most frustrating. I'd rather someone be wildly wrong than safe. And I think that's
Exactly.
easy to forget when you've gone on 100 something auditions in a year and you don't know what you're going to book. You start, I would think, trying to pregame, like, oh, what exactly are they going to want out of me? I'm like, you can't know.
Yeah, because with casting, you're watching thousands and thousands of people, if not even more. And so to watch somebody that just comes in and does the same thing you've seen before, it's not going to stand out. So even if it's not what they're thinking, doing something and just creating a character and being something that they haven't seen is going to stand out more.
Yeah, I agree. So in terms of spooky season Halloween, you said you're not super into horror as a genre, but after watching Let the Right One In and being on it, have you found yourself this Halloween watching a bit more scary movies, or do you just avoid it during spooky season?
100% I have. And it's not that I'm not into horror. I just, there's something for me within drama that really evokes emotion within me. But like if I'm with my friends, I love sitting down and watching a horror movie. I think that's so fun. And also, living here in Utah, there was a big blizzard, so it's very funny to be watching a bunch of horror movies while it's snowing outside and feels almost like Christmas.
Yeah, I would imagine. There's a lot of horror movies that I try to, I don't know, give the benefit, give some help to. You know what? I'm going to hold off and watch that till after dark. I'm going to try to help you out. I'm going to turn the lights down low. I'm working with you here, and I would think being a little bit snow isolated, possibility of being maybe a little stuck, could definitely ratchet up a good horror movie.
Oh yeah, especially for Let the Right One In with that opening snow scene.
I was just discussing with my partner recently that she did not grow up watching horror movies, didn't really enjoy them, has come to them lately, and what I think what she was telling me she came to realize was, for a lot of modern horror, it's where really high stakes family drama is happening. Be it Hereditary, even if they have a more fantastical element somewhere like Let the Right One In, it is frequently where you're seeing, a dramatic role really go there in someplace painful.
Yes, and I love that, because I feel like I've seen a lot of old horror movies, and I'm not discounting them at all, but I feel like the horror there is, the scary monster and we see him. But now I feel like a lot of the horror is like internal emotion, and it's eerie and it lingers, and it's not so much just like a big loud sound in front of your face, but like it really sits with you. And that's the type of horror that I really kind of connect with.
Yeah. Not, oh my God, I'm going to die tonight, but oh wow, what if I live through this and it's somehow worse?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to me about it. As weird as it is, probably the place that I've known you best prior to Let the Right One In is having watched a bunch of Suits. And so you're young Mike. You're young Mike to me. And I love getting to know you again on Let the Right One In. Of course, you were great in Colony as Charlie Bowman. Really love watching you work. Congrats, I saw you got a Best Young Actor Under 18. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. I really appreciate the time today. Of course, folks can catch you on completely if they don't also like horror. We're getting out of spooky season. They can go watch Christmas movies with you. You've done everything, and I'm sure you're going to do everything else. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.